something the other day, like right after New Year's Day, I was just like cleaning up, getting tinsel out of the carpet, that kind of thing. And a movie came on television. It struck me, like I've seen this movie before. It's Driving Miss Daisy.
Oh, yeah.
But it was the very end of the movie, really, when I came into it. And the sweetest scene in that movie touched me. And I can't get it out of my head, but it's where Morgan Freeman at the end feeds Jessica Tandy's character, who is Miss Daisy. She's in a nursing home. They've been best friends for probably like 40 years. And he's feeding her dinner. It is just the sweetest. I want to cry just thinking about it.
I remember that movie. He's like her driver or something, right?
Exactly, right.
And they have this great relationship, so he just went to the nursing home to spend time with her. Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, I know, but it just struck me, and it's just one of the sweetest scenes from a movie.
Did you cry?
You know I did.
I
had tinsel in my hands and Kleenex in the other.
Bawling like that. Hey, Susie's along with us at 800-447-7234. Okay, it sounds like some movie touched you. What happened here, Susie?
There's a movie we just found. I found it at the library. It's Hachi, Hatchi, I think is how it's spelled. It's a Richard Gere movie. It is so tender and so sweet, and it's about a real-life dog.
I've seen that movie, but it must have been like 7 years ago. I'll tell you.
I've heard of that movie.
I cried.
Did you?
It's such a touching movie. It's about a dog and a professor, and they become inseparable. It's so much so that the professor, and this is a real story, by the way, many years ago, but the professor would commute on a train to go off to the university, and then he'd come back home. The dog would follow him to the train station and wait there for him. Now, if you haven't seen the movie, I'm not going to spoil it, but something happens as that dog is at the train station and with the professor. I'll leave it there, because if I start talking about it, I think I'll start crying. That movie just moved me. I don't know why.
His Morning Crew.
Started talking about this morning some of those movies where scenes just make you cry. I mean, cry like a baby.
There's a lot of those for me.
Right?
I've got one.
Oh, TJ. Okay, well, what do you got, TJ?
So you know that part in Forrest Gump? It was right after he gets up and goes to see Jenny to meet his son, and he's standing there and he asks him, "Is he like me, or is he smart?" Essentially.
Oh man,
and that part gets me every time.
Yeah, because you have little Teddy. I mean, he's probably that age, right? How old is Teddy, your son?
Teddy is 2.5, so he's a little bit younger than what little Forrest would have been.
Yeah. But Teddy's smart.
So sweet.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, Teddy's smart.
It's so sweet. Nell texted, and she said, from It's a Wonderful Life, the sweetest scene is when the angel gets his wings.
Oh, yeah, Clarence. I love that. Let's relive that.
Look, Daddy, teacher says every time a bell rings, an angel gets his wings.
Aww.
That's right. That's right.
That's right.
I love that.
Oh, doesn't it brings a tear to your eye right now, doesn't it?
No.
I mean, I'm crying on the inside.
On the inside.
On the inside. Crystal's here at 800-447-7234. What about that movie for you, Crystal?
Beauty and the Beast. Every single time the Beast gives Belle the library, I just need a box of tissues because it just completely overwhelms me.
Okay, now I'm going to have to go back and watch. I vaguely remember that. I like the animation one.
Oh, probably that's the one she's talking about, but that is such a sweet scene. I love it too.
800-447-7234. His Morning Crew. Join the conversation.
Rob and Liz.
His Morning Crew.
Since there's a lot of streaming going on with this whole pandemic, might as well talk about some of those movies that kind of make you cry. It's been an interesting conversation this morning. Rob and Liz. His Morning Crew on his radio.
Brandon has one. He said Spock's funeral in Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. And I laughed at first, but when you go back and think about it, it was very moving.
It was moving. Well, especially the time when, Spock was in that big tube where all of the, I'm not going to get too technical, but poison was of the big warp drives and stuff. And so, and then there's Kirk and there's, the hand up against the Oh,
Yeah. You will always be my friend.
that's right.
Oh, so sweet.
You have been and will always be my friend. Is that
Look
what he
at you
said?
quoting that movie.
Whoa, I've seen it too many times.
Jennifer said, and this one I totally agree with. She said it's Armageddon, and it's where Bruce Willis's character makes Ben Affleck's character let him save the world from the asteroid, and then he gets on the big screen. Remember that? And he talks to his daughter, which is Liv Tyler, and he tells her pretty much goodbye right there. Oh, in a puddle on the floor in the corner.
Armageddon, really?
Oh yes, every time.
Doug is here at 800-447-7234. What's that movie that touches you, that makes you cry, Doug?
You've got mail at the very end when they meet in the park. And she says, I hoped it was you. But, every time I see that movie, I say to myself, okay, not this time, not this time. I know what's going to happen, but it still brings a tear to my eye.
Rob and Liz.
His morning crew.
We're wondering this morning about you, one of those movies. Maybe you did some binge watching over the Christmas and New Year's break. So what's your story? 800-447-7234.
Angel said it's the Courageous movie where the dad goes back and dances with his daughter in that place where she'd initially asked for that dance. Oh, right in the heart.
Oh, my, because she passed away in the movie.
She did.
That is such a good movie. Courageous.
I know. Oh, so good. And then Debbie, definitely. She says, I cry every time. Set the scene for you. It's the funeral in Steel Magnolias, and Sally Field is angry at the world. It will just break your heart.
I've never seen it. Steel Magnolias. It's always on Netflix or something like that. Or is that a mini series? Is there a series called Steel Magnolias?
I don't know about that one, but you've never seen stuff like my mind is blown.
Is it really? Okay. Well, let's check in with Pamela at 800-447-7234. What about you, Pamela? What's that movie?
Remember the Titans, where Gary Bertier's in the car accident and the whole football team comes in to see him.
Oh, yeah.
And Julie's into the exam or into the hospital room, and the nurse says, only families allowed in here. And then Gary says, Alice, don't you see the family resemblance? So that part gets me every time.
Girl, you got me crying right now.
Favorite movie, hands down.
Mornings with Rob and Liz.
Talking about those movies that you probably binged. There's been a lot of binging lately, and you've probably done that yourself. But you came across this movie and then you forgot about it, and all of a sudden you're like, oh man, this movie moves me. I bawl like a baby when I see it.
Tina's one of those, and yes, I will cry every time. She says, A Walk to Remember. Do you know that movie? It's Nicholas Sparks. So good. I have to watch it this weekend. She also said, P.S. I love you. But Jessica, she texted, and I love this. You're going to like this, Rob, because you're a big fan of the Rocky movies.
Oh, yeah.
She says, Rocky 3. So she sets the scene for us, which I love. She says, the locker room scene after Rocky has just lost his title to Clubber Lang, who, let's face it, is not a very nice person. Rocky is physically beaten, he's bruised and broken, and even more so mentally and emotionally. And to make things worse, he's come into the locker room and stand by the only father figure he's ever known as he draws his last breath. Mickey. When the camera zooms out, it shows Mick laid out on the table, and Rocky is weeping.
He's bawling. It was life-changing. And he even told Mickey that he won the match.
Right before he died?
Yeah. Hey, don't pick fun at it. You've got to watch
I'm not.
it. You got to watch it. Okay, you're not being sarcastic?
No, not at all.
Okay, good.
Like, she set the scene so well that it makes me want to go watch this movie. I've never seen it.
What's her name?
Her name is Jessica.
Jessica, you've accomplished something for us today. Liz has never wanted to see Rocky. Now you've got her wanting to see Rocky.
Right? You've done a huge favor for the world.
Rob and Liz.
His morning crew.
I'm not really sure if you're thinking about Valentine's Day this early. It's Rob and Liz, his morning crew on his radio. But let's say you want to buy your sweetheart a diamond ring. I mean, diamonds are pretty expensive, right?
Oh, yeah. Very expensive. I think they're like $12,000 or something a carat.
What?
They can be. Well, if they have, if they're at the top grade, and I know nothing about diamonds, I
okay.
will tell you that.
Let me rethink this. Cubic zirconian. Oh,
that might be the way we need to go.
My word.
Sure.
Okay, so normally what is I'm going somewhere with this, so track with me. What is a normal diamond ring? How many, I guess, carats? Is that what you call them? Carats?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would say for like an engagement ring, the average is going to be about a carat.
Is that the $12,000 one?
Yeah, I would think so, but it depends on, I think they call it class. I said grade, but I think it's like class or clarity. There's a whole bunch of different terms that you can throw at a diamond.
Okay, well,
right,
I found a diamond ring. I don't know if Liz would wear this. So Joey, that's her husband, Joey, take notes. This diamond ring has 12,638 diamonds in it, and it's about 38 carats.
Oh my goodness.
It weighs just under a small cup of coffee. So let's say you put a small cup of coffee without the cream on your hand. That's how much it weighs. Carry that around all day long.
So if you're carrying the ring, it's not that heavy. But if you put a cup of coffee on your hand, like you said, that'd be a little difficult to navigate.
And they call it the Ring of Prosperity.
I guess so.
Sounds like something from Lord of the Rings. It's the Ring of Prosperity.
Yes, precious.
Good night. Who would buy that thing? But first of all, it's going to be in Guinness records, so it's a big thing. But who'd wear that? I mean, I saw it, and I'm like, that thing's ugly.
His morning crew.
We have some great news for you. If sleeping in late is your thing, it's Rob and Liz, his morning crew on his radio. So it's becoming ever so popular, and they are saying that this could be a really good thing for you, especially if you're virtual and working from home. Just work from bed.
From bed.
Oh,
so,
nice.
and I'm sure it's different for each person. Maybe some people get all snuggly wuggly, down in their covers or whatever, and some are on top of the covers. But I don't know. I don't think it would inspire me to do my best work. That's just me. You might thrive that way.
It would inspire me to sleep.
Me too. Or watch some comfort TV or something like that.
Yeah, put on a little Netflix, and there you go. Nap from time to time. If I had the laptop on my lap and I'm trying to work from bed, I'm sure it would fall on the ground real quick because I would be out.
Yeah. Now I have done research for the show and that kind of thing. I have done that from my bed, but that's a quick little, if I need more information on one story or whatever's going on. But as far as working from bed, like Zooming the show from bed,
it'd be weird.
It would not work.
All bedhead, and then you got the drool all up on your side and stuff. Winston Churchill, Prime Minister, historic Prime Minister. Winston Churchill in the UK. He was known for working from bed. He would start his day like that because he was a late riser. So his staff would come in and he'd start his day right there in bed, signing paperwork, whatever prime ministers do.
Hold up. So he would sleep late, call the Queen of England. I wonder if she was in bed because they had a lot of, work together because they didn't have Zoom then. And they were both under the coveys.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
His morning crew.
Well, here's something for you. Liz wants to talk about big heads. It's Rob and Liz, his morning crew on his radio. No, Liz does not have a big head. That's not what I'm trying to say. What are those dolls called with those big honking heads?
They are Funko Pops.
That's it. I have a couple of friends that have collections of those things.
Yeah, my oldest son collects them. He has he probably has 20 right now. Here's the thing about it. You can go ahead and pre-order for Valentine's Day. I know, don't shoot the messenger here. Valentine's Day is about a month and a half away, but they have Funko Pops for Valentine's Day, like Star Wars. But so you have one that has Chewbacca, and I think he's holding a box of candy or something like that. And then there's different characters from Star Wars, and they're all pink and red colored. Darth Vader is one of them. He also has, of course, Darth Vader is going to bring you a box of candy, right?
Wait a minute. This is really a Valentine's Day gift?
Yeah, I'm not messing with you.
I'd be put in the doghouse if I brought something like that home.
Oh, see, now I would love it. If I got Chewbacca handing me, if they have a Baby Yoda one, it's just done. Like best Valentine's ever. But if I get a Chewbacca one holding a box of candy, yes.
Okay, hold on. I'm going to make a note for her husband because Joey needs to know
why don't you
some
text
of this
Joey
stuff.
right now?
So
You can
text
also
Joey,
get, if you're into
Chewbacca
Legos.
Funko Pop. Wait a minute. Legos now? I thought we were talking about dolls with big heads.
Yes, you do. But Legos also has something for Valentine's Day right now where you can create like a flower bouquet for your honey.
Out of Legos?
Out of Legos.
Wow.
Mornings with Rob and Liz.
If you like those long bike paths or trails that they make out of the railroad tracks, if your family's into that, because there's several of them across cities across the nation. There's even one here. There's one that they've been working on for cyclists that'll take you from coast to coast, from the East Coast to the West Coast and back. It's going to be about 3,700 miles long. It's going to be fantastic. They call it, it's named, it's called the Great American Rail Trail. And so you can walk it, you can ride your bike on it, and if you want to go from coast to coast, you'll be able to do that. It's about halfway done now. They have 2,000 miles of it done.
Do you think that anybody will actually have like that would not be a marathon? I guess it would be a marathon, wouldn't it? On a bike. What do you call that?
Well, that'd be longer than a marathon.
Well, see, obviously I'm not a runner or a biker, so
yeah.
I don't know.
By the way, a marathon is 26.4 miles. Just so you know.
Okay, so what would
26.2 miles.
Okay, what would this be called if it's not a marathon? Mega marathon.
No,
there you go.
Ultra marathon is anything past 26.2 miles.
Oh wow. Okay, so do you think people would do this?
Yeah, I would.
Would you really?
Absolutely. If I had the opportunity to get on my bike and if I had enough time, I think that would take you. Okay, in 2008. With an artist named Mark Schultz. He went from coast to coast. He invited me to go with him. I'm like, Mark, I can't do that. So I went through 3 states with him, and that took 5 days to go across 3 states.
Okay.
Indiana, Illinois, and Ohio is what I did with him.
Oh, that sounds like so much fun, though.
Oh, it was. It was great, but we didn't have a trail to go down. It was like the open roads. But this is like safe when it comes to there's no traffic that's on the road or on the trail.
Right. Wow. So this might take you a month?
Probably a little longer. It depends on how fast you go on your bike. And if you're taking your time, if you want to stop and see the sights. Yeah. I mean, if you never stop, and you hammer the whole way through. But 2,000 miles of it's done. It's going to be decades before it's completed, but it's halfway done, which is really nice.
I love that they're doing this for cyclists. I mean, it's awesome. Keeping them safe and they can see the entire country.
Rob and Liz.
His morning crew.
You have to admit, sometimes your kids come up with some brilliant ideas, like this 5-year-old whose name is Hudson. It's Rob and Liz, his morning crew on his radio. Here's what he thought. Last week, he thought, you know what? I like hot cocoa. Mom, you like hot cocoa? There are people in need who deserve hot cocoa. So they did something about it.
Yeah, they did. They usually go on these walks every night, and it gets really cold. They live in Washington State. It's very, very cold there. And he said this. He was like, let's maybe give some hot chocolate, hot cocoa to other kids in the neighborhood. So his mom went to bed, and that mind was just working. You know how we do. And she woke up the next morning, and she said, you know what, Hudson, we are going to do something about it. And they found out that one of the local food banks that they donate to had about 200 families that they took care of. And she said, okay, we'll get 200 boxes of hot chocolate. Well, then one of her daughters said, they need marshmallows too. Cause a kid is going to come up with the marshmallows. And that's what they ended up doing.
Over and above. They wound up getting 300 boxes of hot cocoa and 300 boxes of marshmallows. And they linked up with a backpack for kids from that one food bank that Liz was telling you about. And oh my word. So all last week, all these kids got hot cocoa.
Yeah, because little Hudson, 5 years old, wanted to keep his community.
Mornings with Rob and Liz.
When you're a college kid, you're pretty resourceful, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Conrad he's a college student, and he was driving by and he saw a couple of dining room chairs just out in somebody's trash. So he thought, I need some. So he picked up the pair of chairs, he brought them home, he put them just outside of his garage, and he was going to like do something with them, clean them up, sand them down, maybe, refinish them, stuff like that. He came home and the chairs were gone. Somebody took the chairs.
No, they didn't.
Yeah, somebody took the chairs. What's that all about? So he's like, okay, well, whatever. They were just junk anyway, and I found them out by the trash, and I needed dining room chairs. A couple of days later, somebody brought them back completely redone.
Are you kidding?
No. Completely redone and even reupholstered. And they look amazing.
So somebody took the time to, so evidently they'd been looking at the house. Maybe it was somebody he knew. It had to be somebody he knew, right?
You'd think, but they did that act of kindness and they lifted the chairs, but evidently they were doing it to do him a favor. And he has no idea who redid those chairs and brought them back.
I can see where that's just a tick creepy, but at the same time, it's like somebody's been watching my house, but at the same time, such good stuff came out of it. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
It's almost like the gnome.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody who stole somebody's gnome. It traveled around the world, all these different pictures, and they come back days later. I don't know if these chairs did that.
His morning crew.
If somebody in your family really is into Jeopardy, like my in-laws love Jeopardy. They don't miss a night. Every time we're visiting at their house or they're at our house, they live in Michigan, by the way, so it's not every weekend. It's Jeopardy. Jeopardy's on every single night, and then Wheel of Fortune. And so I'm wondering how they're going to be reacting this week, since this is the final episodes that Alex Trebek is hosted.
I know. His last episode is, I guess, Friday, right?
Yeah. And so this is the week that it's like America says goodbye, even though we kind of said goodbye back in November 8th. He taped them, and then as soon as he was finished, 10 days later, he passed away. But here's the thing. The producer of the show said he was in enormous pain when he was recording these episodes, but you would never know it. Because he is strong, resilient. He was funny. He sounded absolutely amazing. Nothing was distracting him, and he did that last week in style.
That was his life. That was his passion. I mean, I think he reached so many people. He was so dignified, and I just love Alex Trebek.
I kind of followed him a little bit those last weeks. I'm like, how is he, walking through this? And he just had so much thankfulness that he had a good life.
Yeah.
He was like so ready. And I'm like, am I going to be like that when if I know that this is my time and will I be ready? Will I know that this was a good life, and I accomplished what God wanted me to accomplish?
Rob and Liz.
His morning crew.
So let me tell you about Andy Larson. He covers basketball for the Salt Lake Tribune. So he's pretty well known in that community. Well, his mom called him the other day and said, listen, remember that little yellow container that you used to have that you used to save a lot of money in? I found it. And so when he looked inside, there was like $165 in there. And so Andy started thinking, what am I going to do with this? Let me donate it. So he goes on his Twitter and says, hey, I got $165. I want to donate it to somebody. Can you chip in a little bit extra and help me out? Oh, wow. Did people help?
I know people started like personal messaging him and saying, hey, I can contribute. What do I do? How do I do this? So this goes on and on. So he started with about $165. Do you know what he ended up with?
It's crazy.
$55,000, and he took that to do good around his area.
Yeah, so he wound up helping people with car repairs, utility bills. He sent like $200 to dozens of families, and there was one medical bill that he helped out for the RIP medical debt, which is a national nonprofit. They're helping out a lot of people, with collections, and so he donated to them $10,000 out of that $55K.
And think how many families that directly impacted who, around the holiday were like, how am I going to get Christmas? How am I going to pay this medical bill? And then all of a sudden, here comes this little miracle.
He had no idea. He said, I raised $55,000 by accident.